The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss gimmicks you might find at your garden center, as well as bad seed starting ideas. Our guest is author Stacy Tornio, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour is full for the start of Season 9, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you joining us for the next hour around the country for the beginning of Season 9 of the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you. If you want, whether you're listening to us on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2025 through our radio app, through our parent website, which is the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. However you're doing in-studio video replay, podcast replay, we thank you so much. You are able to participate in the program if you would like. You can certainly do that by sending us an email, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call anytime, toll-free, coast-to-coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week, and we have a double.
I think you need to read the first one.
All righty, because it's more appropriate for me here.
Yeah.
My wife wanted to brighten up the garden, so I planted some bulbs.
All right, the other joke is, in my hometown, 2 trees were arrested for doing some shady business.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So this week's garden joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family home and yard protected from pests and insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So let's talk about the garden center.
The garden center is a great place. We encourage you to visit your local independent garden center. However, there's garden centers that they're in the business to make money. And whether it's ethically appealing or kind of shady, or if it's absolutely pure, they want to make money, and some are better at it than others. And these are not so much of the gotcha, your money, ha-ha. This is more of you need to be aware of these things because you don't need to purchase them.
Right. So one thing is, we were at the garden center recently,
right?
So where we saw some of these items. One thing that you had saw was the small elevated raised beds. Are those
They were about foot long and maybe 6 inches deep, and they were 36 inches high, like this, like a cabinet in a kitchen. However, the image on the box showed tomatoes. Now, these were probably dwarf tomatoes or tiny Tim tomatoes, but many people are not familiar with those type of varieties. They think a tomato is a big plant and you can put it anywhere and it's going to grow. That's simply not the case. Those elevated raised beds are excellent for certain items. However, with any type of container outside of the ground or raised bed, the less soil you have, the sooner and quicker it's going to dry up, and the most likelihood is that you're going to forget to water and the plants are going to die. So they're going to dry out quicker. So keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with an elevated raised bed if you plant the proper thing in it and not something that's oversized for that small container or raised bed.
Okay, so then another one was the potting soil. So this is like the potting soil versus
seed starting mix,
starter.
Basically.
Yeah, and it's the name brand versus the store brand. So, for example, I think one was like twice as much because it was a name brand situation.
Right. We got the store brand, which is just regular potting soil. It has a little bit of pine bark, has a little sphagnum peat moss, some slow release fertilizer, and some water retention mechanisms in order to hold the moisture. 1 cubic foot for $9.99. Now, about 5-6 years ago, it was 2 cubic foot for $11.99. So we all know what has happened here. Then we go that was in the greenhouse portion because we know where that stuff is. That's the brand. You want to go and search out this stuff for the store brand. We go down to the seed starting aisle and they have name brand, popular nationwide brand, 1 cubic foot for $25.99. And there is absolutely no more of a difference between what we bought for $9.99 and that bag that was for $25.99, except the name on the bag.
Right, and that's a good point. Is that the name brand versus the store brand, and it's the same ingredient, same whatever it may be. I mean, it may be like a little bit of a difference, but for the most part,
$18 difference,
yeah.
no, not $18 difference or whatever that figures out to be.
So there was sprouting seeds, which I know. If you know, you can sprout seeds in your home, and then you have the sprouts in there, a nice nutrient dense way to enjoy some greens in a way. And this company has specific sprouting seeds, but you don't have to buy specific sprouting seeds. You can just use any sort of seed. You can sprout them. Now, some are going to be a little bit tastier than others, but a lot of these are like broccoli, like smaller seeds, like broccoli seeds, radish seeds. I don't know if you sprout carrot seeds or not, but broccoli and radish are the two major ones. And these were sold in a pack, and it was like they were labeled sprouting seeds, and they're basically twice as much as the other seeds.
Nothing, just normal seeds. You can go to jungseed.com and use coupon code 10TG25 and save 15% off your order. We'll talk more about coupon codes later in the program. Cocoa fiber or cocoa core, we can throw in peat pellets in this category as well. People utilize these mechanisms in order to start seeds, which are a great method in order to have a predetermined amount of material in a fiber pot or in a fiber netting. When water is applied, they expand to multiple different sizes based on what you're getting. However, there is zero nutrient value in that cocoa core pellet. So what occurs is you start your seeds, you put your tomatoes, your peppers, your eggplants in them, and I wouldn't do onions or don't do root crops or anything like that. But just for this particular example, your tomatoes, your peppers, your eggplants, they look good for about 4 weeks, and then they start really going downhill, and you're like, what's going on? I keep watering. What's occurring is they have utilized all the energy that nature has provided for them inside of the seed coat, and now they are desperately looking for some nutrients, some food in order to grow. Now, if you want to utilize either one of these, now the cocoa core or the cocoa fiber, if you're making your own compost, you can utilize that and mix that in with compost and like a potting soil mix. With the peat pellets, the expandable peat pots, you can utilize liquid fertilizer, organic preferably, and use it at a quarter of the strength of what the package says in order to supplementally feed your plants in your peat pellets until you transplant them into soil, or you into a bigger pot container, or you put them outside.
Right. So, yeah, that's the cocoa core, peat pellet, etc. And then the root crop seedlings and the direct sowing seedlings. So, for example, now it's not where we are and where our, what do you call it? Base station? What do you call it?
Anyway.
Yeah, where we are in Wisconsin, we're not to the point of seedlings yet.
Flagship station.
Flagship station.
You're going to see this at your garden center. You're going to see the seedlings. You're going to see carrot seedlings. You're going to see green bean seedlings. You're going to see carrot seedlings. Squash seedlings. Seeds in which, when you look on the package, it says direct sow. You don't transplant carrots, you don't transplant radishes, you don't transplant corn. Green beans are iffy at best. Squash is very sensitive roots. So whenever they're trying to get you to buy these things to make it convenient. However, it's not convenient whenever you pay $4, $5, $8 for a pack of half dozen to a dozen of these plants in a container, transplant them, and one survives because they're not designed to be transplanted. They've got your money. You've planted them. They've died. You feel bad that you did something wrong. You go buy again.
It's definitely very much a gimmick. And I don't know why they continue. I mean, obviously, because people buy them. That's why they continue.
Uneducated people. That's what we're here for, to educate you so you make your money go farther and your success rate goes exponentially higher.
So take note. Obviously, maybe you don't have seedlings where you are right now. Maybe you do. But either way, don't fall for it. Go back inside the garden center, go to the seed area, and get yourself a pack of radish seeds or squash seeds or whatever you want to grow. And then, if you have any questions, you can always give us a call or do a little research. We're happy to help.
Heat mats.
Heat mats. So a lot of people think that they need the heat mats for seed starting. And if you're starting in just normal room temperature, your living room or kitchen or wherever, you don't need the heat mat. It's possible you might need it if you start like in a basement or something.
Unclimatized
area. But
cold greenhouse.
Yeah. It's not a thing.
Don't use it. And then also don't use a heat mat a heat pad that you use for your body. Those are not regulated.
No.
You can't get proper heat distribution equally throughout the seed tray. So 99% of you will never need a heat mat. So
right.
That's just some of the multitude, but we want to make you aware before you start buying these things that are not necessary or purchasing these things for the wrong reason.
So we are brought to you today by our sponsor, Walton's Inc. We know you care about where your food comes from. Canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables is great, but what about the meat? At waltonsinc.com, you can get all the seasoning equipment and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatjustics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. Walton's even has a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, and sausage stuffers to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's everything but the meat. Use code GROW50 to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more.
When we return, bad seed starting ideals. We'll go over some of them that you've seen on social media. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at jungseed.com.
Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com. Want bigger blooms and better yields without the hassle? Carricade makes gardening easy with eco-friendly, effective solutions. Rated 4.8 stars, trusted by growers like you. Shop carricade.com/radio or Amazon today. Use code radio10 to get 10% off at carricade.com/radio. Wondering if your soil is ready for a successful spring planting season? At Grow Smarts, we make it easy to find out. With our at-home soil test kits, you can pinpoint exactly what your garden or lawn needs to thrive. Simply order online and we'll ship a test kit right to your door with everything you need, including a prepaid shipping label to send the item back. In just 2 business days, you'll receive clear, concise lab results highlighting your soil's pH levels and nutrient needs. Plus, our customized recommendations will guide you on the perfect fertilizers and amendments to use. No more guesswork, just healthier plants, vibrant flowers, and bountiful harvests. Right now, you can save 10% on your order with the code radio at growsmart.com. That's GROSMART.com with code radio. It's time to kick off your spring garden with confidence. Make the most of your soil and watch your garden flourish. Because when you grow smarter, your garden flourishes.
4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top-quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4jars.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4 Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness, up to 18 months. And are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4JARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com. Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online. Wind River chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more. Brome is home to the Squirrel Buster brand of truly squirrel-proof bird feeder. We have been designing and manufacturing wild bird feeders since 1998. When a squirrel lands on the Squirrel Buster, its weight automatically closes the seed ports, denying access to the seed, but not harming the squirrels. We design products that are simple enough for anyone to use. They are built to last a long time and are backed by our lifetime care to extend the life of our products. We offer expert customer service to help owners with any needed maintenance or repairs. Visit Brome.com for more information.
Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at VermontBean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at VermontBean.com. Get higher yields with durable green bed raised garden bed kits designed to be drainable, breathable, pest resistant, and long lasting. DurableGreenBed.com. Abundance guaranteed. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Holly, got a question for you.
Okay. What's your question?
Do you like saving money?
Well, yeah, I like saving money.
People here, our listeners, hear those coupon codes throughout the program. Not only that segment, but the other segments. We have a number of all these companies have financially contributed to the program because they believe in what we're doing, and many of them have offered coupon codes for their products in order to save them money. And if you've missed any of those, or you might miss them, here's where you go. TheWisconsinVegetableGardener.com under the Money tab at the top of the page, and they're all listed for you. Well,
right. So let's talk about some bad seed starting ideas. I know we often give good seed starting ideas, but
don't do these.
Don't do these. So the first one is eggshells.
Regardless of the situation with the egg population right now, we see this year after year. About this time, people have these wonderful Pinterest. Is Pinterest still a thing?
Yes.
These wonderful Pinterest images.
It's kind of making a comeback, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Of the half shells with the little sprouts coming out of it. This is a horrible ideal, but a beautiful photograph.
You can get really good ideas for crafts on Pinterest.
Okay, we're focused on the eggshell.
I'm just saying. Pro tip. Okay, anyway, eggshell is not a good idea. It's too small.
We talked about in the first segment, the less amount of soil, the quicker it's going to dry out. And you have like a tablespoon of soil in most eggs.
Yeah. Or like 2 tablespoons.
I'm going to wait until it gets started, then I'll crush the egg and put it in a larger container. Well, first of all, yes, that egg has calcium in it. But it takes about 18 months for that eggshell to break down, even in powder form, when people throw it in their compost pile or grind it up and put it under the tomatoes, because it's going to stop blossom end rot. We'll talk about that in the weeks to come. But it takes about 12 to 18 months for that to be broke down to a usable form. So this whole thing of, I'm going to wait until, you're wasting your time. Utilize a very good seed tray and decent size seed cells in that tray, so you have minimal amount of movement of that plant to save you time. So all you have to really do is water, and you have a good seed starting mix with a slow release fertilizer. I talked about in the first segment, from the your store brand, from your independent garden center, and you're good to go.
I like saving time.
And we talk, egg cartons, the cardboard ones, and never use the styrofoam ones, but either one is a horrible ideal. The same concept applies as the eggshell.
I was going to say, this is kind of similar to the eggshell, where it's just small, it's a pain. Even if it's the cardboard one, it's not going to break down, etc.
When you water it, it'll break down.
Yeah. But I mean, it'll kind of break down, but it'll come back to life a little bit.
Well, you'll water it, and then you'll pick it up, move it, and the bottom blows out of it.
If you're hard up to use your egg cartons, take up some crafts. I don't know. I use them for little paint trays. You can
make fire starters for your camping friends.
For camping. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, and I'm sure you could find them on Pinterest. So yeah,
we're not supported by Pinterest.
Not supported. Anything with like styrofoam is a bad idea, which we didn't put on here, but since you're talking about the styrofoam egg cartons, you could use styrofoam cups, but again, those are kind of small typically anyway.
Well, since you brought up the styrofoam, and this is what I've seen, growing up, and we've seen this before, the white pellets or the white particles in potting soil mixes is not styrofoam. It's either vermiculite or perlite, which are natural products that are mined or harvested that allow moisture to absorb into them and release and create air pockets in the soil. It is not styrofoam. As well, in that realm, whenever you're going to plant, this is more than a seed starting ideal that's gone bad. Whenever you're going to plant your giant planters around your front porch or your walkway, you don't want to use aluminum cans or styrofoam to fill the bottom up. If you've got a 4-foot tall planter and it has a drainage hole in the bottom of it, you can take a smaller plastic planter, invert it, so now you only have 2 foot of soil to fill instead of 4, and you're not going to impede the growth of that plant. When you put aluminum cans and styrofoam in there, that's not anything to do with, that's not healthy for the plant.
No.
So keep that in mind whenever you're wanting to aesthetically please your landscape with large planters. There is a way to cut down on the amount of soil you're going to put in them, but there is a right way and a wrong way to do that.
Right. And it's, so you work smarter, not harder.
Just do it right the first time.
Anyway, so another one is peat pellets. We kind of talked about this in the first segment, but it is good to note, especially maybe you missed that segment. Peat pellets, they don't have any sort of fertilizer situation. You can use the peat pellets, but you do need to add the liquid fertilizer. And then at this point, you're probably up to the same cost as if you were just going to buy potting soil or a seed starter or whatever, and you just want to keep that in mind.
Now, quick quiz here. Can you start seeds in compost?
You can.
Yeah.
There's no issue with
it.
No.
We have started our seeds in compost and nothing else because we had it available. We made it ourselves. We utilized it. It worked fine. Here's one thing that a bad seed starting ideal. It's El Cheapo and it's on sale from the drugstore. Potting soil and it's 1 cubic foot for $1. Well, that must mean I can get a good deal on it.
I mean,
what's that sound at the Price is Right?
The sad sound.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Just because it's a good deal doesn't mean it's.
There's certain things in life. There's certain things in life that are great deals. That you buy a picture at a yard sale and you find out it's worth $25,000. Great deal. You bought it for $1. This is not one of those great deals. The health and well-being of your seedling to grow into a plant to produce food for you all stimulates around how that seed starts. If it starts in a poor soil environment, it's not going to take off the way it should because it doesn't have the nutrient value and the minerals and the requirements that it needs in order to grow healthy. You've got a story about this.
I do. So back, I don't know, it was probably 12 years ago now.
Yeah. We try not to remember.
I was at the neighborhood drugstore, and I saw and there was a coupon too, and it ended up being $1 for a cubic foot of this. I think it was like just a potting soil mix. I don't know what it was. And I remember I bought it. I called you and I said, "How many of these should you get?"
And I said, "How many do they have?"
And I think I said 5 or whatever. I don't know, whatever it was. And so I brought them home, and it was the worst soil. We could have taken the dust from the vacuum cleaner and planted
the sand off the beach would have been better.
Yeah.
It wouldn't absorb moisture, and what moisture it did, it just ran right through. One of the worst $5 we've ever invested in anything.
It was bad.
Yeah.
So if you're at your local drugstore and you're like, I'm going to start my own little plants.
No.
Go to the garden center.
Go to the independent garden center. And here's the fun little fact. If you go to your garden center, I know we're in a society where we don't like to talk to people. However, if you're going to your local independent garden center, those people know what's going on. If it is a reputable garden center, they know, hey,
don't go on a Friday night half an hour before closing.
Right. Reputable ones will go, I don't know it, but Cindy does. Cindy is a master this or a certified that. They will know the answer. And they will oftentimes, the really good independent garden centers will ask you, what are you wanting to why are you wanting to buy that plant? Where are you going to put it? Well, I wouldn't recommend it putting there because this is a partial shade plant that will not do good in direct sunlight, or the opposite. They will try to prevent you from buying a plant that's going to fail.
Right. Yep. That's exactly true.
Cold environment, unheated garage, basement, not talking about the cold sowing that some people do in the milk jugs outside, but trying to start seeds in an environment that is far too cold and you expect success. This is where the heat mat, as we talked about in the first segment, comes into play if you're going to try to start them in an area where it's not your ambient, normal home temperature, 68, 72, 76 degrees.
We kind of tried this ourselves in our basement.
Right, and it did not work because we did not have a heat mat. We've made these mistakes, so you don't have to.
So basically, seedlings need heat.
There's nothing wrong with in the basement or the garage as long as you have adequate light and proper heat.
Anyway, as I was saying, seedlings need heat. Now, they don't need extreme heat, but they do need warmth. It's like, I don't know, you wouldn't put your small kitten outside in the cold to try to survive. Hopefully not. Same thing with seedlings. They do need some sort of ambient room temperature, 68-ish plus degrees. And you're not going to have success if you just keep them in your basement or garage if it's not warm.
The heat mat has a dial in which you can set it. And whenever the seeds begin to germinate, that's when you want to turn the heat off. The heat is only required for the seeds to germinate, not for long-term, everyday growth.
Right.
Well, Holly, soon it will be warming up. Yes, it will warm up. We've looked at the long-range forecast in our area and some of the northern portions. It's going to warm up. And you want to make sure you can enjoy your yard this year without sharing them with the beetles and grubs in which you probably have coexisted with for the last couple of years, but you don't have to anymore.
Yeah, with spring around the corner, it's time to start thinking about controlling beetles and grubs in your garden yard. There's all sorts of Japanese beetles articles on the news sometimes, whatever, especially in the Midwest.
Grub Gone can be applied to your turf or garden and around ornamentals to control grubs and lessen the impact that beetles have on your yard this summer. Easy to use, apply with a commercial spreader or irrigate right into the soil, biologically, specifically to target grubs and beetle invaders without harming any beneficial insects like bees, ladybugs, and butterflies.
And to be honest, it's the only non-chemical that works. Find out more at phyllombioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com.
You can also go to grubgone.com to find out more. When we return, Stacy Tornio will be with us. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
David J. Frank is the landscaper you need, southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com. Roots and Rhizomes is a family-owned and operated gardening company specializing in daylilies, irises, and perennials. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rootsrhizomes.com. That's code 15TG25. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit azurestandard.com, that's A-Z-U-R-E standard.com. Use promo code JoeyandHolly15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code JoeyandHolly15 at azurestandard.com. Azure Standard is A-Z-U-R-E standard.com.
Tree Ivy Root Development System, the quickest way to get new trees on their feet. TreeIvy.com.
R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25.
Hey listeners, we're excited to introduce to you Sun Warrior. They are well known for protein powders and supplements, and that they are 100% clean, plant-based, non-GMO, soy-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, and without filler. Since you are into gardening and things that come from the earth, we thought you would appreciate that they offer high-quality, plant-based ingredients that come from our Mother Earth and that your body is craving. They've made a special code for you for 25% off your order. At checkout, enter JoeyHolly25 and save 25% on your order at sunwarrior.com. That coupon code JoeyHolly25 to save 25% off your order at sunwarrior.com. Mantis Garden Tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis Tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com. Oh, welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Missing those coupon codes, you can go to our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the money tab at the top of the page. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Stacy Tornio is a journalist, writer, marketer, and author of 20 books. She has written garden, nature, and activity books and books for children. She has her own imprint, Be a Good Human, focusing on picture books for thoughtful and socially conscious kids. Welcome to the program, Stacy.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we certainly thank you for taking time out of your day, not only to educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners.
So what is an imprint, and tell us more about yours?
Yes, so an imprint in the publishing world is whenever you really want to focus on like either a subject matter or a certain type of books, and so you create an imprint. And so a lot of big publishers do this, and I decided to create my own imprint, focusing on books, picture books, kids' books for around the environment, gardening, stuff like that.
Well, what got you into writing books for children?
Oh, man, I have been writing books for children before I had children, which is a long time because now my children are like adult children. I remember being in college and just being fascinated with children's books. And I went and took a children's writing class like as a side thing and just got, captivated with children's books, picture books, and like really that power to like write a story and impact a kid at such a young age. Like I feel like we all have picture books that we remember in our lives, and I just wanted to be a part of that. I think it's so cool.
Out of all of your books, that's a two-part question. Out of all your books, do you have a favorite? Are you allowed to have a favorite? Like some parents are not supposed to have a favorite child. And is there a vision of, if I could only write this type of book, I could say my authoring career has been completed?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I wrote a book with my son, and even though it does not sell that great, it's like, of course, one of my favorites because it's like 101 outdoor adventures to have before you grow up. And we worked on that book like really, really hard, worked on it together. So that's one of my favorites. And then probably the kids' like picture book that I did, which started my imprint, is This Class Can Save the Planet. And so it's like really actionable ideas for students and kids to take to, have their own little impact on the environment, like in their classrooms every day.
Fantastic. So you write books about kids being socially conscious. Why is that important? Many people might argue that why do kids need to think about being socially conscious? Why is that important for kids to learn about this as kids and not later on in life?
Yeah, I mean, especially anything when it comes to like the environment or even gardening. You think about like how many kids like really know where their food comes from. And it's like, well, yeah, if kids are gardening and that's part of their life, like they get it. They know what that means. But there's a lot of kids that don't. They don't have that connection. And so that's what that means for me, of like socially conscious kids, of like making sure that like that cause and effect that they see, like that their actions, impact our environment, and like whether they recycle and it ends up in a landfill or not, and where the food comes from, and like making those connections, I think is really important. And it's something that sometimes I feel like we get away from, or we kind of forget that not all kids know that. So it's just really important for me to make those connections and highlight those subjects.
Well, and not so much where the food comes from, identifying what is actually nature food versus man-created food in the grocery store, because the man-created food has overtaken the natural food in the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like, if you know, you just know, right? Like, I grew up, I had my own farmer's market stand as a kid, so, like, we grew our own food, and I had that connection. But there's so many kids that don't have that, and that's not speaking ill of, like, anything about them or their upbringing. They just, like, simply don't have that connection. And so giving that to them, like, that's a really beautiful thing.
Fantastic. So your most recent book is The Ultimate Wildlife Habitat Garden. Can you tell us more about that book, what our listeners could expect when they pick up a copy, and maybe just something notable about it?
Yes, so this book is all about attracting birds, bees, and butterflies. So I actually spent 10 years working on the magazine Birds and Blooms, and I'm very proud of that time of my life where I learned just so much about, plants that could attract hummingbirds and butterflies. And I spent 10 years learning this and learning from experts. And so it kind of became second nature to me that, of course, bee balm is great for bees. That's a great pollinator plant. And so I wanted to write a book that had all of those best pollinator plants and host plants for butterflies. I wanted to culminate that and put it in this book and really focus on plants that were, easier for the beginner gardener that wanted to get into attracting birds and butterflies and bees. So that's kind of what this book is about, really breaking it down, making it easy for the home gardener.
Well, you also wrote a book called Plants That Can Kill. I'm going to assume that is a very interesting book. Tell us a little bit about that and maybe one of the surprises that you discovered in the creation of that book.
Yeah, this was such a fun book to research and write because it kind of started with houseplants, right? There's some legit worries about having houseplants that might make your pets, sick, cats, dogs. And I started researching it more and it was just fascinating to figure out what are those really toxic plants out there. Nightshade is a plant that has been in, stories for years and years. It's in legendary books. And that's a plant that still shows up in home gardens a lot of times. It's still those house plants again, a lot of those, the poinsettias, not a lot of people know that the poinsettia is poisonous. Now, I don't know that it's going to kill your pet, but if they ingest a lot of it, you do have to be careful. So that was just a lot of fun to research that book and discover so many things that I didn't know before.
Yeah, the nightshade, the tomato is poisonous, but we eat the fruit, which is not. The rhubarb is poisonous, but you eat the stem and the leaves. It's really unique. Number one, that we know that. Number two, somebody probably died in order for somebody else to learn that.
Right? Yeah. And then I like to think of the, old literature where they're the plants show up as these arsenic kind of plants, and I just think it's really interesting and part of our plant history.
Well, and just like they say, you can eat any mushroom at least once.
At least once, yeah.
Uh-huh. And then also, you on the flip side of that is that you wrote a book called Plants That You Can't Kill. Kind of what inspired that and is what else you want to talk about that's notable about that book.
Which one came first, the plants you can't kill or the ones that can kill you?
Yes, that's a good question. Plants You Can't Kill came first. And really the inspiration of that goes back to working at Birds and Blooms magazine. And people would ask, the same questions over and over again, what's an easy plant that can tolerate drought? And I started noticing that, we're recommending the same plants over and over again for kind of that typical beginner gardener. And so, and when friends would ask me, friends and family, they'd say, oh, can you recommend a plant? And it was the same thing over and over again. So I took all of that and created the book, Plants You Can't Kill, to give people kind of an easy guide for that. And then, Plants That Can Kill came after, just kind of a play on the title and flipped that a little bit.
Well, Stacy, we greatly appreciate the time you've offered us. Number one, how can people find you? And number two, how can they find where all of your books are located on the internet?
Yes, all of my books are available on Amazon. They're carried pretty well by local bookstores as well. I've even seen in World Market, I've seen a couple of my books. But you can find me on my imprint website, which is beagoodhuman.co. So it's .co, not .com. And you can learn about my books there. And I think there's links on there to all of them as well.
Well, Stacy, thank you so much for the inspiration and the dedication to help educate the children in our world, so they know where food comes from and how to be better stewards of the earth.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And when we return and you return, it's going to be your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned in to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Chip Drop is a website you can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door. For free, Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account.
My garden hasn't looked this good in a decade. That's what gardeners are saying about Carricade. No extra fertilizers, no harsh sprays, just thriving plants and massive blooms. Rated 4.8 stars. Shop carricade.com/radio or Amazon today. Use code radio10 to get 10% off at carricade.com/radio. A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA Bio-Preferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you No More Bugs. Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at totallytomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
Edmonds Roses is a family-owned and operated rose company with the largest selection of roses online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at edmondroses.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at edmondsroses.com.
Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Hey, it's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. You want to partake in that activity, you can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can jam your fingers in your mobile device and dial us up toll free coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. You can find all that information at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Holly, let's see what we can get through to the top of the hour.
Okay, so the first question is from a Facebook user. This is a very new interest for me. I'm looking to do more small garden. Do I have to start inside now, or can I buy ready-to-plant vegetables? Looking to grow tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, jalapenos, and potatoes. I'm in Pasadena, Maryland, if that matters. So you don't have to start inside, especially if you don't want to at this point. You can buy the starts for tomatoes, peppers, jalapenos, but then potatoes, you probably want to buy the seed potatoes, and then cucumbers you can just direct sow.
Right. And there's nothing wrong. Either way is acceptable. There's nothing wrong with purchasing, especially those who have maybe a small, 5 or 6 container garden on their porch, patio, or deck. They just go and invest $15, $30 for some plant starts, plant them, and they have what they call, I guess it's called a kitchen garden. That's what they call it in the UK area.
Yeah, it's a kitchen garden.
Yeah, and where you just walk out, pick a few things, and go. Now, others, such as us, who plant 30, 50, 80 tomatoes, we start ours, and as well as the peppers, because that is, let's say a general pepper plant is $6, and I'm way underestimating that. You times that by 20 or 30, that number gets quite expensive. So the investment in starting it inside can greatly pay for itself. Plus the amount of varieties in which you have available whenever you purchase seeds versus purchase just the plants. Because a garden center may have 3 to 8 different varieties of peppers when there's like 60 to 70 different ones that you could purchase just on the in mild and hot levels. And tomatoes are the same way, 20 varieties versus several hundred in which you could purchase from Totally Tomatoes. So there you go.
Right.
What's our next question here?
So I'm looking to start asparagus. I know I will be moving in the next 3 to 4 years. Would it be suitable in container or get in the ground at my next place? You don't want to do that in the container. You want to establish the asparagus in the ground because it does take 3 to 4 years, 2 to 4 years
to just get something you can
to just get something
harvestable.
Yeah. So, I mean, we started some asparagus in 2020. Mm-hmm. Was it 2020?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just now like getting
right
to something.
You need a little area. The roots are like a spider. You have to spread them out in order to plant it. And there's 1-year crowns and there's 2-year crowns. Now, some people will try to start it from seed, which can be done, but if you can buy the 2-year crown, you're already about halfway to time to harvest. These plants, asparagus, can, once established in an area, can sustain repetitive yearly production for 20 to 50 years in one location. And they'll continue to divide a little bit. They're not going to spread, wild flowers or anything like that. But if you're putting it in a container, you're inhibiting the production and stunting it to where it may not come out or it may die because of the conditions in which you're preventing it from growing. So as much as you want to do it, invest in something else in which you can get a tomato that'll produce 10, 12, 20 pounds of tomatoes, cucumbers. Wait until you have your final destination, your forever home, I guess is what you call it, in order to invest in these long-term perennials, raspberries, pear trees, peach trees, apple trees, asparagus, where you can establish an environment in which you're there forever and they're going to outlive you anyway. So you might as well put them in and get what you can out of them while you're still around.
Absolutely. So here's our next question, and I'm going to let you talk about this.
Okay.
Is there a success with planting corn in a raised bed?
Planting corn in a backyard, you can get in many fistfights about this because there are people who do very well with planting corn in their backyard. Whether it's in raised beds, some people do it in containers. They're called, on your porch, patio, or deck, they're called container corn, or they actually do it in the ground. Now, when we did it one time, we did it 1 year, we grew an 8 by 10-foot patch of corn. I think there was probably 20 to 40 ears of corn. I don't remember. It's been about 15 years ago. It's on our YouTube channel, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. We did it to show that we could do it. We had to put so much fertilizer. These are heavily dependent on nutrient plants. And the same thing in big ag, where you've got to really pump the fertilizer, the nitrates in, the potash in order to get these to grow. I can't grow them as cheap as I can buy them at the farmer's market or at the grocery store. Now, the grocery store, you can't guarantee what it is, but a lot of food you can't guarantee what it is unless you grew it yourself. But at the farmer's market, there are places where they sell organic corn. You can get 6 ears for $2. 6 ears, 50 cents an ear. I cannot grow corn for 50 cents an ear on the high, I can't do it. I could do it, but I'm spending so much energy and so much time getting that plant to have what it needs in order to grow for 1 ear or maybe 1.5 ears of corn, where I could take that 80 square foot area and plant 30 tomato plants or plant 25, 30 pepper plants and get a massive amount of production, can that, and have a long-term year supply of spaghetti sauce or canned tomatoes, in which I can't do that with corn. So can you plant corn successfully in a raised bed? Absolutely. Is it advisable? That's up to your discretion. I would advise not to. There's other things that can produce much more larger quantity of food with less input than corn. Take that for what it's worth. That's my opinion, and it may or may not be good for your backyard. Okay.
All right. So another question is, okay, so we don't eat all our sweet potatoes before they start sprouting. Can I save the sprouting potatoes to plant again in the spring? If so, what should I do with them until then?
Well, you can take the sweet potato and put it, what is called sprouting the sweet potato or getting it. Eyeing the potato is on our traditional, French fried potatoes or russets or Yukon Golds is different than what you're going to do in the aspect of a sweet potato. Sweet potato, you're going to submerge it 3/4 of the way in a jar of water in order for it to develop roots, and then it's going to grow shoots. And then you're going to harvest those shoots, put those in water in order to get roots on those. Then you'll transplant those out. Now, sweet potatoes are a heat-loving plant. We have had minimal success growing them in our zone at that point 5 garden. The USDA has changed some of the areas, and we were one that got altered to a zone 6 area in southeast Wisconsin, where our show originates from. But it is a very heat-loving plant, so you can grow them in an area where it gets moisture and gets a lot of sun. So if you don't, you can go ahead and try to start rooting the sweet potato at this point, and then at any point during that process, you can, as we're getting closer to the time you would put them outside, you can cut the shoots and get them to begin to root. I've had a friend who didn't grow at all, but I said, put the sweet potato. She had an old sweet potato. I said, put it in. She had a sweet potato sprout that grew almost 12 feet up the bookshelf that was a wire.
People pay good money for the sweet potato vines.
It is at home. It's a decor.
Yeah, it's a decor thing.
It's and aren't the leaves edible? The leaves are edible. Isn't that what they?
I don't know.
Okay.
We'd have to look that up.
Don't take that one for, so you can do it, and people do this a lot inside.
Yeah. I've even seen them at the garden centers. People buy the sweet potato vines, for their home, and then they grow, and you could just, use a sweet potato. Yeah.
Sweet potato leaves are edible.
Okay, there you go.
I thought they were in Asian cuisine, that they would stir fry those. Yeah. So
right. I am about to plant strawberry seeds. It seems even more confusing and scary to attempt than these. Do you know anything about them?
All right. For starting strawberry seeds, you can start strawberry seeds from seed. Now, getting the bare root plants is a better option if you want a quicker harvest, because the seeds, you want to sprinkle them over some soil and just dust them with a little potting soil in a seed tray, cover them with soil, and moist them basically with a mister. You don't want to really intensify any water, large quantities, because you're going to blow the seeds all over the place. Bright, warm location once the seeds emerge with a few leaves, and you can transplant them into their own individual pots. Now, on that aspect, if you wanted to start, let's say 2 seeds per pot or 2 seeds per cell, and then wean off one or cut one back, the weaker of the two, you can do that. Eventually, you can transplant them outside after danger of frost and the plant is over and the plants have been conditioned or hardened off. Put them in a well-drained area, and just be aware that growing the strawberries from seed can take longer than planting from established plants. You can buy the bare roots, like I talked about, or you can go to your garden center and get live strawberry plants that are already like a year plus old and plant them. However, those have cost to those. And there's everbearing, as well as a June-bearing. Everbearing will put on kind of berries throughout the year. June-bearing will put their heaviest production on in June, hence the name. And you can go that. We had a strawberry bed.
We had a very successful one for like 5 years.
They last about 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
You want a pH about 5.3 too.
And we kind of just let them go wild. But it was good. Since they were June bearing, they shot off the daughter plants.
Right.
And so the June bearing ones shoot off the daughter plants, and the ever bearing ones don't. But they shot off the daughter plants, and then we would just have more berries.
And that patch was, I think, 20 feet wide by like 15 feet long. I don't know how many plants. We ended up getting 15 pounds off of it one year.
Yeah, I think we really cashed in well on those.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I have mushrooms in my seed starting mix. Holly, what do I do?
Well, first of all, don't eat them, and don't let any children or pets eat them either. But it's not a bad thing. It just basically means that your soil
is got really good stuff.
Is very healthy, and it's got good stuff in it. So if it concerns you, you can remove them, toss them, put them in your compost, or you can just leave them.
Yeah.
I would just leave them, knock them off, whatever. But again, just don't eat them, or don't let anybody else in your household ingest them.
Same thing with mushrooms in your garden. You can potentially, there's 2 things that could be going on with that. One, you could have a low-lying area where the moisture is concentrating, and that's where the fungi is developing and you're getting mushrooms, or you have really good soil. Both are good. One's maybe a little, but mushrooms are always a good thing. And if people have mushrooms in their yard and you're concerned with that, remember, mushrooms are not a longevity. They're not like tomato plants where they're going to grow for 90 days. Typically, it's they come up, they grow, they decompose, and they're done like in 72 hours in most aspects. So you can always just take the rake and knock them down if you're concerned of something going to try to consume them, or you don't like the aesthetics of what they look like in the yard. In the garden, they're going to feed the soil. They're going to compost and break down. So it's a very, very good thing to have mushrooms in your potting soil mix or your raised bed mix. And if you're doing straw bale gardening, mushrooms are a key aspect of the conditioning process in most situations. Well, if you've got a question, certainly send it over. We will get to it next week on the program, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You can give us a call 24/7, 365 at 1-800-927-SHOW. We've got another show jam-packed for you next week, and we will be talking about to buy or not to buy at your garden center, why and why not, as well as building your soil, compost, bulk soil, topsoil. What should you do and how should you get it to the healthy point you need it for your vegetables, as well as our guest author who likes tomatoes, Craig LaHoyer, will be with us. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.